Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to That to Shoot, weekly episode of the show. We'll talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. Usually, it's a few topics and then a main topic. Programming note: next week we will have a That to Shoot on Friday. Uh, rather right now, we plan on talking about the summer of punk, which I think would be interesting to talk about. But also a special edition of That to Shoot Saturday is also supposed to be out, as we are going to be doing the predictions video. And actually, in fact, I may even do that video live, for you guys, so that it's just there, because next Saturday night will be the SummerSlam event. Don't forget, they switched it this week. SummerSlam is going on Saturday and TakeOver on Sunday. So I'll be doing predictions for both SummerSlam and TakeOver 36. So you definitely want to be there for that. Click the notification bell if you already have it. So this is a little programming note for you guys, and always rapid reactions after each event, Saturday and Sunday. That being said, let's go ahead and let's kick things off. So last Friday during SmackDown, the WWE released several people from this NXT brand, the likes of Bronson Reed, Tyler Rust, Leon Ruff, Mercedes Martinez, Bobby Fish, Ari Sterling, Jake Atlas, Kona Reeves, Zechariah Smith, Asher Hill, and Giant Zanzier. Um, all those released um, last Friday, and it seems to be that what they are doing is they are trying to get younger and bigger. Yeah, they don't want people who are getting started in their 30s. They don't want people who are, you know, not big guys who they can, they're looking for guys who can main event WrestleMania. That's going to be the new edict. They're looking for guys who are going to be able to main event WrestleMania. That's what's been reported. And take a look at the guys, and the one gal, um, most of them are not, the people they're looking for. As one quote said, no more midgets. Yeah, they're not looking for the small people anymore. They'll take some small people. I would assume that, Adam Cole was going to the main roster because he had a big talk. He had a talk. He also had a talk Friday with Adam Cole last Friday, which McMahon did, which seemed, from our reports, seemed to have went well. So Adam Cole may be resigning and going to the main roster. So he would be a thing. Rey Mysterio is obviously is a is an exception. Um, and I would also hope Ricochet would too. Ricochet would also be an exception to the rule. I think Ricochet's a very, he's a very flashy, very fantastic, uh, kind of a performer. Good for those, good for those ladder matches, the Money in the Bank matches, and also I think he could be one person that could really, he's always going to be over with the crowd. I think it would be, I think it's good to keep him around. Um, but yeah, the I guess the quote unquote edict that has been now has now been put down, that they're going to, look for guys who are bigger and then younger. It's I personally I don't see, you know I don't see that as a bad thing. I didn't think you definitely need to get younger. But you look at Damian Priest. Damian Priest has got what he has, but he's also 38 years old. He's also 38. He's older than Roman Reigns. You know, and you see what Roman Reigns is at. Roman Reigns got at least another 5 years at the top. And I think he's 30, 33, 34. God willing, all of his issues don't come back or nothing else doesn't happen to him. So he can get another 5 years at the top. And then at that point, he'll be 39, 40. Basically, we're looking at Damian Priest at 38. He's really only got 2 years to make it to the top. And I guess you could say you look at Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's 44. You know, but I think Bobby Lashley might be another exception to the rule. Vince has always loved Bobby Lashley. He's always loved Bobby Lashley, and I just he couldn't find a way to get him as over as he wanted him to be in his first get around, and and then Bobby Lashley left. He went off. He did his own thing, and he's come back being a different person. And good on him. It's good for him. Excuse me. Um. So, it is interesting to see what's going on. There's a report that there's gonna be more releases by the end of this year. And you have to wonder, like about you have to wonder about some. You have to wonder about Ricochet. You have to wonder about Keith Lee. We'll talk about Keith Lee in a second as well. We'll talk about um Naomi and many others that do you that you kind of like wish that are fan favorites, but the WWE doesn't aren't doing anything with them right now, and you wonder will they be next? And a lot of fans are scared. A lot of fans are hoping that doesn't happen. Some fans are hoping that it does happen so that they can go to another place, and be and be used correctly, but not everybody can go everywhere. That's just the same. So, yeah, so you may want them to go to another place and be used, but that doesn't mean that they can be. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at Matt Cardona, he got released. He went to he went to AEW, he went to Impact. Wasn't used the way he wanted to use. He has to start doing this bullshit garbage deathmatch shit that that is insane for him to try to get somewhere. And try to do something in wrestling. So, you know, you, and I think some fans know that. I think that's what some fans are scared. They don't want because not everybody can go to AEW. Not everybody can go to Ring of Honor or any other organization. What's left for them is doing the garbage deathmatch bullshit, and you need to do that to get over. You're probably not that talented of a wrestler to begin with, right? Probably not. And that's no disrespect to people who've done it in the past, because some people who did it in the past are definitely talented wrestlers, Funk and Foley, to be the top two. But yeah, from what they did back in the '90s, you know, to what they're doing now. What they did back in the '90s, they did that to get a name, to get their name out there, because it was shocking. The people who do that shit now, they do that because they think it's cool, and it's not. So, um, that's just here and there. So, um, and then those releases came off, of course, off the back of Bray Wyatt being released you know, the week before, you know, the week before. So, yeah, it's a very interesting time with what's going on in WWE. They are they're doing a whole bunch of things. That they are reshaping everything about their company and their developmental NXT. That's what they want NXT to go back to, being a developmental program. Excuse me there for a second. Spit it out, Junior. Um, no, that's what they want, and so hopefully again, like hopefully it's not for them trying to want to sell the company. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I'm hoping they're just, I'm hoping it is just the fact that Nick Khan wants to make sure that the WWE will always be in the black and never be in the red. So, and then combine that with what's the wrestling side, what they want, wrestling to be, because you know John Cena is the last big star, as we can plainly see, Sure, Roman and Charlotte and even to a second extent, Bobby Lashley as well. Not Bobby Lashley. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch as well. They have some crossover appeal to the mainstream media, but none like John Cena had, and definitely none like guys like The Rock and Austin have. And I think that's what they are looking for. They're looking for the Austin and Rock type thing, where you know, you know, and Austin could be on, the late night shows. When's the last time a wrestler has been on a late night show? I think the last one might have been, and I'm talking about someone other than John Cena and The Rock. I think the last one might have been The Undertaker when he did a guest spot on the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show. So I think that's what he's looking for. He's looking for someone like that, someone who can mainstream, cross over to the mainstream, become box office, and become a true another superstar. And again, that's not a bad thing. It sucks that other people have to lose their jobs, but um, this is a business, and they're trying to make their business the best that it can be, and you have to be okay with that. So in January, it was reported that Keith Lee had got COVID. Some people even reported that Keith Lee got COVID because Mia Yim had get COVID, and he contracted COVID from Mia Yim. Um, he was then on a February Monday Night Raw. I think he was on the he was on the February before. He was on the Raw before um, Elimination Chamber, I believe. I believe he was on that. He was on the Raw before that. Um, because if I'm correct, I believe because it was supposed to be right, because it was supposed to be Bobby Lashley, Keith Lee, and Matt Riddle, and they put John Morrison in that match because of that. And then of course, um, then Matt Riddle won, and Bobby Lashley helped Drew win, and Drew, yada yada yada. So all that, right? So yeah. Um, so he put out a video yesterday, um, explaining why after that Monday Night Raw that he was on, he had missed all this time up until um, the Raw in Dallas couple weeks ago, and he talked about everything. First of all, he dispelled the rumor. He didn't get COVID from Mia Yim. Actually, Mia Yim got COVID from him because she wouldn't leave, and she wanted to take care of him. Um, Then she had COVID. That took her out of the Royal Rumble. I think it was she was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, and but they took her out, and they put in Tony Storm, and they they talked about how he talked about how it was a really bad thing, and he talked about how even then he had you know he was getting ready to make a comeback, and he came back for that. He missed 3 weeks because of COVID. He came back for that Raw in February, and then after the match, the doctor said there was something wrong, with his blood. So they went and they did a few tests, and they looked at it, and he had inflammation on his heart. Now he didn't mention that maybe that was from COVID or anything like that. He didn't mention that, but he just said that he had inflammation on his heart, and he had done tests, and there was so many other things, and he was doing so many other things, and so many tests and so many things that obviously they took him off the road, and they kept him off, and he so then finally he didn't say when, but he said at some point finally they did the final test and saw that the inflammation had gone away on his heart, and he was cleared to start back working again. So he was training, getting in shape, and when you know it, um, his giant his re-debut was in Dallas, his home state, and so it was, to hear that yesterday, it was very shocking. It was a very scary thing because you know as he said, this was a battle of life or death. He beat death. He beat him off with a stick, and it's just a very good thing about how that feels, because I think a lot of people like Keith Lee. They think he's one of the most genuine people in the world, for the people who have met him, and he seems like a good dude, and he's a great talent, and yeah, I mean the fact that all of that could have been changed, shortchanged, with one, you know one just bad thing. That's why all of us are like afraid to go to the doctor, but we need to go to the doctor. We need to go to the doctor. We need to get things, set up. We need to, check and make sure that the things that are happening are, to us are safe and can be, good. You know, Earlier this year, I was having like pains in my head, and I almost could almost feel like I had like it was like almost like one of the things that one of the bones that keep my skull from protecting my brain, felt like that was loose, something like that. I was, wow, and I was waking up with headaches, and I just didn't know. And you're scared. You're scared that it's gonna be maybe some kind of cancer, something like that, brain cancer. But you know, I told my doctor she didn't feel nothing. She didn't think anything was wrong, and over time it did. That next couple of weeks, the pain and everything like that went away. So maybe it was just something, you know, something from like recent stuff, but it was scary. But you got to go through it. I think that's one of these. That's the thing I get from this Keith Lee story, is that, and it's just don't take your health for granted, man. Don't take your health for granted. You know, I'm a little bit of a big dude. I do want to lose weight, because at this point right now, I have to sleep with I'm gonna have to start sleeping with a CPAP machine, and I don't really want to do that, but I have to do it because you know, because I'm a bigger guy, and I you know, so well, anyway, um, I'm glad Keith Lee's healthy. I'm glad Keith Lee's active, and I'm glad that he is with us, and so shout out to Keith Lee. So now here we are, main topic of this week, the 20-year anniversary of the Invasion storyline. Boy, oh boy. Um, incredible, right? It's been 20 years since that storyline happened. 20 years since WWE bought out their competition. It's incredible. You know, and just like how you think about it, and it's been 25 years since. No, it's 25 years um since it was there was the Hogan thing, which we talked about, and then 20 years of this, and then 10-year anniversary of the Summer of Punk. Like I mentioned, will more than likely will probably be what we talk about next Friday on That's a Shoot. So for for us to look back on it, it's incredible. That when you talk, we know how it started, how WCW was falling down, and it got to the point where it wasn't doing what they wanted to do, and then like Turner Broadcasting sold the company, and the people who bought the company didn't want wrestling on their show, so they was taking wrestling off of TV. And Bischoff was trying to get people, he's trying to get people to so that they could buy WCW and rebanded and things like that. And that was the thing, WCW. He was gonna buy, him and his group were gonna buy WCW from Turner. The only correct thing was that Turner didn't want wrestling on their program, at least at that time, and you needed to find somewhere to go. And there was talks about maybe FX, would buy it, and there was talking about maybe, you know, um, another network, you know, maybe, at that point maybe TNN, who had ECW until they folded, because around the same time they folded around the same time WCW did. If you remember, um, one one Monday Night Raw, all of a sudden Paul Heyman appears on the screen to replace Jerry Lawler, who had walked out because the WWE fired his then wife, the Cat, Stacey Carter, and so then let me tell you, TNN would want it. Um, but that didn't happen. WWE bought WCW. Then we had that fateful night in March where we had the simulcast going on, and we had Vince McMahon on TNT on the WCW Nitro, and everything was wild. Everything was wild. And because we had the storyline that actually Shane bought it and not Vince, and that led to the match at WrestleMania, yada yada yada, and then it pretty much they stayed quiet. They stayed quiet on it until King of the Ring in 2001. Now the triple threat match between Austin and Benoit and Jericho, and actually we had a little bit more than that, because actually it started to pop up here and there, right? I believe Shane kept coming back, talking about WCW and things like that, and they were also doing that storyline. And I believe it was either the Monday before King of the Ring, or the week before that, when we found out who the stalker was, and the stalker was DDP, like the Diamond Cutter, you never saw it coming, or something like that. Whatever you start, and it was great. It was That is one of the most truly shocking things that that happened in wrestling, because at that time the internet was getting bigger, and plus wrestling on the internet was getting bigger, and you really couldn't keep just like now you can't keep a secret. Sources and leaks were coming out back then as well, but but DDP being the stalker was a great one. Then he came out and put all that mask off, and it was DDP. It was incredible, and that was the first shot. And then we had the match at King of the Ring that I was talking about. triple threat match between Benoit and Jericho and Austin, and Booker T came out there and put Austin through a table. And the story has been told when he dropped suplex him on the table, he slid off. He was so sweaty, and he hit the chair that was sitting up. And there were many people backstage that were kind of looking bad at Booker T. Like, this guy unsafe. What is he doing? He's hurting our cash cow. But really, it wasn't anybody's fault, because he's because it was a bad setup, and it actually just happens. He did everything. He wasn't sloppy. He wasn't careless. It just a bad thing happened. Um, and that was the first hour, and that started off basically the invasion angle, and then there were all these other things that were going on, and they would come in and they would talk about it, and then there was that one thing, there was that one show, and this might have what really changed for the invasion angle, was that it was a show in Tacoma, and it was Booker T against Buff Bagwell, and the fans just shit all over it. They really just shit all over it. And the match was really, I guess the match was so not good that Buff Bagwell even got fired because of it. Um, and he got fired because he wasn't the champion. Booker T was the champion, the double champion at that time, actually. Um, and that's what changed, because what they were going to do was they were going to have WCW be their own brand. They were going to do a brand split, but it was going to be from WWE. It was going to be WCW. Was supposed to be on Monday nights, and then it was supposed to be WWE on Thursday nights. Then with the SmackDown, or they were going to move Raw to Thursday or whatever, right? But that changed, and I think that changed the course, and it changed the higher up's opinion on what they could do. Now, let's also remember, at this point in time, the the big names were not there. Ric Flair was not there. Hogan was not there. Hall was not there. Nash was not there. Sting was not there. Luger was not there. Goldberg was not there. They had these massive Time Warner contracts with guaranteed money. WWE wasn't going to pay those. Now, guys like Booker T and DDP, they 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 gave those contracts back so they could go in and work with WWE. You know, but those other ones didn't. If they were gonna go to WWE, they were gonna wait until their contracts with Time Warner had ended. Um, and so we were missing some pretty major stars. So what then they decided to do was they decided to say, well, we're gonna do this invasion storyline, and we don't have these stars. Let's just try to get some more star power. So then they brought on the ECW guys, Van Dam and Dreamer. Although, Van Dam and Dreamer, and then the ECW guys that were already there, like the Dudley Boys and Raven, and all those guys, and Spike and Rhino, right? Although Spike, he kind of stayed with WWE because he was dating in the time Molly Holly in that time. So yeah, but it was so, and then the Monday night, and then on the Alliance, and then that's when the Alliance came together. That's when we found out that not only was Shane part of WCW, but we had another McMahon. Be it, and that's when what's her name? Stephanie came out, and she was brought out to be the proprietor of ECW. So it was, and a lot of the fans didn't like the fact that this was like McMahon driven. This was a McMahon driven storyline. She came McMahon and Stephanie McMahon, owners of the Alliance, versus Vince McMahon, owner of WWF at the time. They didn't like it. They felt like that maybe this was maybe too much McMahon. But I can see where you know, I can see where people would say that, but I also think you need it because Vince McMahon really did own the WWF. You know, nobody, you know, in storyline mode, we needed somebody else who's gonna own WCW. Who could it have been? And you know, it made sense for it to be Shane and Stephanie to own the people who was, you know, trying to take down their father. You know, father what the father put him through. You know, and even though they didn't mention it, you know, you could go back and talk about Stephanie and the you know the thing that his father put it through, and then you know Shane McMahon and Vincent Pete Shane. I was never you know giving him the authority to do things. It all could have been part of that, but they didn't go that way. Yeah, so it only made sense for that it to be for for that storyline to appear, and then and then the side note to that, both Austin and Kurt Angle, um, they were injured around that time. They were being injured around that time because of the King of the Ring and stuff and things like that. And or was that before then? Was that before then when they was injured? I think that was on the time they both get injured because Kurt Angle broke his tailbone in that um he broke it in that match against Shane McMahon at King of the Ring, um, which was a hell of a match. He broke his tailbone, and because Austin had a back injury, so they both were out for a little bit. And then that's when they were doing those things when they were Jimmy Cat Corn and I don't care, I got Olympic gold and everything like that. So at one point, one point Austin buys Vince a cowboy hat, and then he buys he buys Kurt Angle this little yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's yeah, it is some big time stuff going on here, uh, and so that leads to the Invasion pay per view, and at that point, Stone Cold turns heel and joins the alliance. They have that they have that uh big thing about him joining the alliance because he was you know he was bad, and that's and then there's another thing also because there's also Austin was obviously he had turned heel earlier in the year at WrestleMania, joined Vince McMahon, and was doing things where he was actually kind of like sucking up to Vince McMahon and things like that, and he needed the old Stone Cold back before the Invasion. That's when Stone Cold went off drinking and things like that, and he came back and he started whooping everybody's ass and things like that. And there was a ruse. He turned on WWE at the Invasion pay per view. What are you doing? Be careful, man. What are you doing back there? Damn cat. So, um, and then we get this SummerSlam pay per view and against Austin and Angle and things like that. The Rock comes back because Austin left, so we get The Rock coming back. Um, at that point, in storyline mode, he was suspended by Vince. But because he was such a threat to Austin. But and let's not forget also Triple H had tore his hamstring. So without Triple H, we were out The Rock as well, without not mentioning the WCW stars. But at that point he was out filming the Scorpion King, I believe. He was off filming the Scorpion King. Um which was a spinoff of The Mummy, if you remember, if you guys may remember. The Mummy 2, The Mummy Returns, something like that, whatever. So he was off filming that movie. He came back and he was a part of the alliance thing and everything like that, and he came in, he did a wonderful job and everything. And then we had um the whole off thing where um, Austin cheated to win Kurt Angle, and that's when the next night on Raw, when they're, the alliance is it's he's they're singing to Austin, and they're doing the wind beneath my wings and everything like that, and Kurt Angle comes out and with a milk truck and redoes the Austin beer bath moment. Comes up and he does the milk bath and gets on the truck and passes the milk and does that. It's an incredible thing. They go to the next thing, the next pay-per-view, and they do the thing where September 11th happens, and talking about another anniversary. There's a 20-year anniversary of that. Um, um, and so we talk about it, and this is the incredible thing. The WWE was the first show together with people done in Houston. For the first gathering of a mass gathering of people since the attack. Sports was ending. Sports had suspended play for a while. WWE was the first one. I'm glad they would do it. Give some people some hope. And Kurt Angle went to Austin. Kurt Angle went to Vince, and he said, I think right now it would maybe be good for America if the American hero Kurt Angle would win the WWF Championship. And Vince says, if Austin's down, you can do it. So then Kurt Angle went to Austin with the thing, and Austin, Austin for his recollection, he was okay with it. He was like, yeah, okay, I understand it. Yeah, yeah, totally get that. And then they had that match. It was in Pittsburgh. It was in his hometown actually, and they had that match. And I can't necessarily remember which way it went. I'm not sure if it if the current if there was a match between Kurt Angle and Austin came first, and then the next month in October it was Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, and Austin in a triple threat match. I believe I have it right the first time because obviously it was in September 11th. So I think it makes sense that it was in there. So, but yeah, he won the title. A couple weeks later, he lost it right back to Austin. Um, but it was supposed to be a big thing, and they did all of this. We had defections back and forth. We had people, who was WWE who was joining the alliance, and we had people who were in the alliance joining WWE and everything like that, and and then they finally decided to go to November. Yeah, it came to Survivor Series, and they were gonna end this invasion crap. As Vince like I said, and they were going to do everything. They were going to merge some of the champions. They were going to do the tag champions. They were going to merge them. They were going to merge the Intercontinental United States Championships. They're going to merge the whatever other title, the light heavyweight and the cruiserweight championship. They were going to do all of those and merge the championship. Then they had like some other matches they had, and then the main match was going to be the battle for see who would win the big storyline, and it was all and it was also it was Shane McMahon, it was Austin, it was Booker T, it was Kurt Angle, and it was Rob Van Dam, I think, against the WWF team of like The Rock and Jericho and the Brothers of Destruction and the Big Show, I believe. And at that point in time, also they were also doing other storylines as well. They were still trying to do that storylines between each company as well. Like The Rock and Jericho. At that point in time, they were trading back and forth. They were trading back and forth the WCW championship, and they were doing that. And then they were also um, they were trading the word, and they were also a tag team. They were the, they were they the WWE or a WCW? one of the two other. They were the tag team champions. Then they had a match. They had a match in one of those pay-per-views, and which Chris Jericho beat The Rock and became WCW champion. Then The Rock won it back, like just like with the Angle thing, won it back a couple weeks later on Raw, and then and Chris Jericho, was turning heel and things like that. And he completed the heel turn in that match when he got beat in the elimination match, and then he turned on Rock. He turned on the Rock, gave him the at that point one of his other finishing moves, the breakdown, and and it was over. Um, and so all this happens, and we get that Kurt Angle, who had turned on WWE and joined WCW, was just being a mole, and he had actually he had turned, and he was an inside mole, and he helped the WWE beat WCW, ending the Invasion storyline once and for all. Right? So that's the storyline in general. Um, my advice to those out here watching this is to go to Brian Zane's channel, Wrestling with Regret. For his classic pay-per-view reviews, he is recapping the pay-per-views. He did last month he did the Invasion. This month for August he did SummerSlam 2001. He's going to do the other pay-per-views in September and October, leading up to the November Survivor Series. He does a great job of recapping it, and then also doing the reviews and everything like that, giving the reviews on the matches and the storylines and things like that. He goes into a little bit deeper than what I am doing. So I advise you to go over it, go to Wrestling with Regret, subscribe, click the notification bell on his channel, and watch it. He's gonna go through all the months. I'm condensing it all into this episode. As we mentioned, the Invasion storyline is over. There are many people who feel like this storyline is maybe the most bungled storyline in WWE history because of the fact that it was just a few months, right? It was just a few months. WCW rarely, if ever, get the opportunity to look better than the WWE, and when they did, they looked better, but with the WWE stars that returned, with Austin, with Angle, with many others who turned, the Dudley Boys, who who went to the Alliance in the ECW thing, right? You had a chance to combine that with the fact that they didn't have the other stars that they wanted, that was needed. Then it doesn't feel right, and I can see where that's coming from, because I to be honest, I think that the storyline could it could have went on for a couple more years. It probably should have. When you think about it, and especially since everybody else pretty much came over, right? Ric Flair was there on Monday night, the night after Survivor Series, right? Ric Flair came over. Then we had the NWO come over in February. You know, Goldberg came a year later. Um, you know, Luger didn't come back because I think Luger was actually having some personal issues that you may know about now, and we might find out during this Icons episode. They just took that off the schedule for some reason. Sting didn't come over basically because of when The Rock came back, you know, and he confronted Booker T. He asked Booker T, "Who in the blue hell are you?" And he saw that as that just was that was how Vince McMahon and WWE felt about WCW. It wasn't The Rock being just The Rock and just his put downs and things like that. But that was like an inside thing where Vince was actually saying, like, who the hell are you? And he said that through He said that through The Rock. That's been something that's been talked about for years, that Vince will give certain people certain lines directed at certain people as a way to send a message in some form or fashion. You know, the Austin saying that Lance Storm was boring is something that people say that came from the Vince McMahon thing. He thought Lance Storm was just boring, and he told Austin to go out there and try to wake his ass up to try to become better or something like that. So whatever. But so Sting wasn't going to come, but at some point in time, most of them came. So if you kept it going, right? If you did to them what they did with the NWO, if the Survivor Series wasn't the fact that if it wasn't winner take all, if what it was that if WCW wins and gets WCW gets they get their own they get their own show. Screw what happened with what's the name with Booker T and Bagwell in Tacoma. Screw that. Make it so that if WCW wins, they get their own show, and then get their own show, and then yeah. And don't get me wrong, you can still have people on. You can still have WWE and WWF and WCW be on both shows, but then if you know it's WCW SmackDown or something like that, right? You can do that, and then when everybody comes, and then you get it, and then what you can do is you get to WrestleMania 20, and then that's when you do winner take all. You do WCW versus WWE. Triple H comes back, and he's a part of WWE, and maybe even do the thing where maybe even Triple H turns on WWE. You know, because as they you know it's the storyline for him. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon was married, so why wouldn't he go to his wife? And he can be part of the alliance. He teams back up with Austin for another two-man power trip. You can do so much other stuff, and then maybe even have some WCW guys on. Man, what's Shane doing? And then, let me come over to you. Let me help you, Vince. And then and then they do things with Vince. So much other stuff that they could have done, and then you could have had WrestleMania 20 actually be a match where now obviously some other things happened around that time that of course during that span Rock goes off, films a couple of other movies, right? You can still do icon versus icon, Austin, Hogan versus Rock. You can still do that at WrestleMania 18, right? Yeah, 18. um yeah, WrestleMania 18, yeah. Of course, Austin has to retire at 19. You can have Austin. You can you can still do that either way. And you can still have The Rock come back as a heel representing WWE, but being a heel, and then having him take out Austin. For the alliance. Or even at that point, maybe Austin turns on the alliance. I mean that starts their downfall, maybe. You know, and then maybe The Rock comes. I don't know, but there were so many other things I think they could have done, and it should have lasted longer than just a 4-month storyline. This, at the very least, it should have been a year. The very most, it should have been like I said, it could have went all the way to WrestleMania 20, and then that's when WCW would actually die, you know. But again, it's crazy to think 20 years of since the invasion storyline happened, and it's an incredible time. It was an incredible time for wrestling fans, one that we'll never see again even though people really want it to happen, it'll never happen again. And I think they need to understand that. This was truly an incredible moment as a wrestling fan, and one that whether you like the storyline, whatever you think about the storyline, one that you go back on and you just can't help to say, God damn, what a time. All right, y'all, post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. What do you guys think of the NXT releases? What happened with Keith Lee? And of course, the anniversary of the Invasion storyline. And once again, I want to shout out Brian Zane with Wrestling with Regret. Go check out his channel. He's gonna do it for the rest of the year. Check out the programs and everything like that about it. I think that you should. I think he does a great job reviewing it. And again, go subscribe to him. Click his notification bell as well. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.